why am I here? Well, I am here because video stores laugh in the face of TV license inspectors because, as we all know, you do not need a TV license just to watch a video. And one man beat the system and kind of give a virtual middle finger to TV licensing after they took him to court. But just what happened then? Well, it looks like they still haven't left him alone. Because it says, man thought he beat the system, then a letter turned up. But how did all this get started? Well, let's just go a bit further down and we'll read on. In September last year, Mr. Stewart was visited by a TV licensing inspector officer. That's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? How about we just call him a goon? He described the visit as an opportunity to explain his view and habits in person. Added, I told him I didn't pay for a TV license because I didn't think I needed one because I don't watch live TV. I don't even have an aerial installed on my TV, and invited him in to do his checks, something which I think is very, very risky, for the reasons you'll hear in a moment. He was a bit apprehensive. Well, yeah, I don't blame him, because let's face it, TV licensing inspectors don't tend to be liked very much, do they? But he looked at everything and asked me what I used the TV for, so I told him I just watched Netflix and Amazon Prime through the PlayStation, and he asked me if I used BBC iPlayer, and I said, no! I mean, who would ever use that, eh? Of course, following the inspection, Mr. Stewart said the officer confirmed he was not in breach of the license requirements. Just remember that little bit there. The officer confirmed. But Mr. Stewart from Kirkby described how the officer documented their conversation and read back the main points, including that no live TV was being recorded and no BBC iPlayer account was used. He added it was official, and I agreed with what he had said. So I was presented with this big white signature box and I just signed it, and then he left. To be honest, I was really made up with myself thinking I'd beat the system and proved I didn't need a TV license. And of course, had that TV license inspector done his job right, which to be honest, I'm sure he thinks he did, in my opinion, don't think he appears to have done his job correctly at all, because something then happened, which this just say shouldn't have happened if he was doing his job properly. But just what is that? Well, in January this year, Mr. Stewart received a single justice procedure notice, something which is called an SJPN, which covers those who are alleged to have watched TV without a license. Lee explained, it said if I pleaded not guilty, the fine would be larger and I may have to pay court cases. So I'm not sure what's going on at this point, because yeah, if you obviously let this guy in your house to carry out his inspection, he'd give you the big tick to say, you are correct, sir, you don't need a license. And suddenly this letter lands on your mat. Well, he looked at it all the way through, and on the back was the inspector's statement. Straight away, I clocked the question, may I come in and inspect the TV receiver? And it said no in the answer box, which was wrong because he did let them in. So why would that have happened? I mean, surely, obviously, the inspector knew he'd done the inspection, but that's not it, because it doesn't appear to have been a misunderstanding, because the next point was saying that I admitted to watching the news last week. So I refused him entry and then admitted on the step that I watched news last week. It just doesn't make any sense. And of course it wouldn't do if he let him check all of his equipment. And he says he doesn't need a license. Surely at that point, if he had said he watched the news, the TV license inspector would say, well, actually, sir, you do need a license. But even if he did watch the news, there's nothing to say that he watched it in his house, is there? I mean, he could have been down a pub, couldn't he? It's just absolutely ridiculous and kind of seems like clutching at straws, in my opinion, because Mr. Stewart chose to contest the notice. I don't blame him, even though that itself was risky. He must have huge cojones to even do that. When, of course, quite often it does appear that courts do tend to, it seems, side with the TV license inspectors. But all these goons, as I was saying earlier, he represented himself at Saffron Magistrates Court, and he said, I can't see why people accept it. But I knew I was innocent and I wasn't paying for a TV license that I didn't need, so I fought it. I'll be totally honest, I was surprised by the outcome, and I thought that it might be good to share my experience. Well, awesome. The court dismissed the case due to insufficient evidence, and a TV license spokesperson, well, yes, what did they say about it? They said this was reviewed by a TV licensing following the court hearing in April 2025 as is standard practice, and no failings were highlighted. Well, hang on a minute. Surely this TV licensing inspector or goon needs a bit more training on how to actually fill the form in correctly, doesn't he? Surely. At Unless, of course, I know this may be beyond the realms of possibility, but could it be any possible chance at all that the TV licensing inspector or goon said or thought to himself, I've just got into this person's house. That's very rare for me. So, shall I just put this on the back, therefore helping me get to any possible quota that I need to get to more quicker? What do you all think? Let me know down in the comments, and I'll be back very, very soon with some more videos. So, make sure you click that subscribe button down there so you don't miss the next one.